Welcome back to Every Week We Follow. That's how I feel right now. That is the look of a man who knows that was a hugely missed opportunity.
Oh, mate.
This won't be, by the way, just for everyone, if you've just like joined this and watching it, this won't be completely downbeat, but
No,
we have to acknowledge the fact that is a huge blow. Huge blow. And they were there for the taking as well. They weren't great.
Mate, so obviously I feel broken because I got, as you know, I got last minute tickets, which was great, right? So I went to Manchester yesterday. And do you know what? I think we have to start talking about, like, he's not like invulnerable to a criticism. I love Emery and what he's done, mate. But yesterday he got it wrong, right? We paid them way too much respect. We just didn't go at them. If we'd have started with the same 11,
we kind of set up and played a little bit like we did against PSG in the first leg. It felt like, I think I said to you, it felt like we were looking to try and smash and grab. We were looking to try and the second half, we were looking like we were going to settle. We were trying to settle for a draw.
Mate, I think he went with a point to go in mind. But I think what he did...
I think because also he knows that that's probably what we needed.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you do that against City, you're probably not going to get that point, which we didn't.
Mate. And if I'm honest, I know they scored in the last minute, but that second half, we barely got over the halfway line, mate.
It wasn't good at all. But first thing, right, a few things we need to talk about. First off, the amount of late goals we've conceded this season has just cost us so much. Bournemouth,
late goals, mate,
Forest,
and
this
also
game, PSG.
First attacks as well, mate. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Oh, right. Can we? Okay. And speaking of people who aren't invincible, I love him. I love Emi Martinez. Love him. But there's been a few of these.
Well, mate,
there's a reason they're scoring their first shot. That is a terrible. That is a howler.
Yeah, he should save it. He should have saved the one on Saturday.
He saved it onto his foot.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, right, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath here because I've got a wave of emotion going over me through like having lack of sleep and right, breathe. Okay, because there's a couple of things I wanted to say just off the bat before we get into like picking it apart. And the first one is the selection was wrong for me. Right, it just from the start we felt like we were just playing for a point, and okay, we had a great chance in the first minute, didn't take it, but after that, like it felt like we were just trying to restrict them from anything, and it just you can't. As poor as Man City have been, they've still got good enough players to keep the ball and move it around and move you around, right? And I just didn't understand the selection. Like, well, up until I could deal with Watkins not being there, fine. I could deal with Digne coming back in, but not starting McGinn was a mistake.
Yeah,
we lacked.
He did really well.
He did. We lacked any energy, mate, in that midfield, and they were winning every second ball. We were sloppy in possession. Like we looked like we were scared to go at them. And I was frustrated from the start. I just thought if you'd have started with the same 11 against Newcastle, a team that we've just battered, playing in a certain way, right? Watkins would have had the same opportunities to go one-on-one versus Diaz or Nunes, whatever his name is, right? And he would have had joy, mate. He would have that, and we didn't do it. And Man City just grew into the game and ended up controlling it in the second half. So I ended up being super frustrated from the start because you could just see the game panning out that way.
I actually thought we started okay. I actually thought we didn't start all that bad. Obviously, we had that attack very early on. I did feel like we were kind of nipping the ball off them in the midfield. We were breaking through their lines. We were breaking their press. We were doing good balls over the top. But then, again, like, obviously, he made the mistake for the goal. Emi's distribution yesterday was horrendous.
Yeah, it was poor.
It was so bad. Terrible. And considering how good he was against Newcastle, it's just like, terrible passing. There was sloppy pass, and the second half, like you said, was really sloppy. We started really edgy, really nervy. We were sloppy in possession, and they got their tails up and they just went for it. It's got in because you could yes, okay, you could say it was coming or whatever. It came within 30 seconds of the end of the game, and it's brutal.
And
like,
let's talk about why, mate. And again, the other thing I'm going to be critical of Emery here is
why did he make that change? Why does he keep doing that?
Right, and you know what, right? And
it's Doku.
Before I go into it, right, please like and subscribe and kind of, help us
like,
out with
subscribe
this one.
before Gary has his rant and you decide you don't want
to. And you all switch off and go, right? It happened against PSG, right? It was more like watching the same thing. I guess, yes, Cash might be tired. So bring Garcia on. The Disasi thing cannot play right back. He can't play right back. It doesn't make any sense.
He can he can't play right back, but he can play as part of a back three, and he can play right back if he's not up against a proper winger. He's up against Doku.
And this is where Emery got out coached yesterday, because right, as soon as we brought Disasi on, right, I watched Guardiola and he put in a Doku. Doku got to start warming up and he brought him on within a couple of minutes. Right, now for the first part,
that was coming. Surely he was sitting there going, he's gonna put a winger on if I put Disasi on.
Yeah, and for the first 5 minutes, right, Disasi did okay against him. He stood off him, and they were just trying to knock balls over the top to him, and he won like 3 or 4 headers. But then on the deck, I saw him move towards the ball, and I went, "Don't do it! You ain't going to get there." And the moment he knocked the ball past him, we were fucked. But then it's a catalogue of errors as he gets into the area. This is where Torres shouldn't have started. Pau Torres didn't even attempt
that out, right?
To cut the cross out. Mings would have slid across there. Okay, he might have scored no goal, mate, but he would have tried to stop the cross coming in.
Yeah,
and whoever was at the back post did not follow. Like, it might have been McGinn at this point. I don't know, but it was just a shit goal to concede, mate. And like you say, 30 seconds from the end, it was soul destroying, because as poor as we were second half, we probably did enough in the game to earn a point, and a point would have been a massive result.
And that's kind of what I was saying. I think everyone thought it was fizzling out to that. I thought apparently Emery said after the game that when he'd made those changes, or what he said in the second half, was essentially that last 15 minutes, the last 20 minutes, push to get one chance to win it.
Yeah.
He wanted to win it. And I was sitting there going, okay, I get you want to win it, but the worst thing you can do is lose it. And to lose it the way we did, and you know what's frustrating? It's like, we've done this before against City. We did it in that season when they won the league and they came back from 2-0 down and they scored.
Yeah.
I just hate it. And the Etihad was empty. It was empty by the time they scored.
On that, so that's 15 straight defeats at the Etihad.
Oh, mate, it's horrible. 15?
Yeah.
15 years of straight. And they played before the game on Sky. They played this thing, and it was like this preview thing, and it was showing you all the results. And they weren't like 1-0s. We've been battered there time after time for the last 15 years. And what annoyed me about it, it's always the thing with Sky, right? What annoyed me about it was like, can they make it 15? It wasn't a case of can Villa stop the rot. It was, can City do it? And they were willing them on. And they fucking did.
Well, do you know what? This is what I talk about. We talk about big clubs and stuff, and we had lots of dialogue with certain City fans in our comments from the last video, right?
Honestly, that guy, absolute troll. If anyone hasn't seen it, go check out the preview.
Go and check the comments out, because I don't think the people of Manchester, if he is a Manchester fan, don't quite understand the word humble.
He doesn't understand the word humble, does he? What a prick.
What a right. But I've got to say, mate, and I hope this doesn't happen to the Villa, right? Walked around it. We got there pretty early yesterday, me and Ava. We walked around the stadium, tried to get the buzz in and stuff, went to get spot to eat. And it is a tourist attraction. Mate, it's an absolute tourist attraction, and there is zero atmosphere in that stadium, and the amount of empty seats are disgrace. They're extending the stadium to over 60,000. They can't even fill it as it is.
So apparently, they're talking about on Talk Sport, and they were saying that apparently, actually, there's a lot of people who are season ticket holders at City that don't go to some game, or they don't go to X Games, and so it's like so they're basically just holding those seats for when their mate comes round, or they're a business owner in the city, and so they own this season ticket to take friends when they visit, all this kind of thing. But then it's like I was saying to you, I don't know if I said it off air on one of the previous episodes, and I was like, the thing about Villa and the thing that I like about this podcast is at the moment it's really fun because there's like dynamic, there's ups and downs. So there's episodes like this, where I'm like, oh god, like what can we improve on? What can we work on? How can we get better? Blah blah blah. And I said, I think whilst obviously it'd be like fun to like win stuff, I think it could get quite boring if you're just winning all the time.
Well, I will say this: it feels like a soulless club, Man City. It really does.
What it is, it's just a money making business like plastic club. That is literally what it is.
But they stand beyond. Like, yes, they've had a massive success in the last 10 years.
They've been one of the best teams the Premier League.
And it's been great to watch, mate. But let's face it, they're sitting on 115 charges. None of it's been fair. They've brought everything to the hilt where they've spent all the money where no one else can do it now because of PSR. And to be proud of it, I'd rather have humble Man City fans going, do you know what? Yeah, we've had it's been a great ride, right? But we don't deserve it really. We've bought it. And not like in the way that
it was similar with the Abramovich era, right? With Chelsea,
and Man United. I'm not saying teams haven't done it.
Yeah, obviously it changed.
I'm telling you now, Man City wouldn't be, Guardiola wouldn't be half the success if he was managing the Villa. Right, Emery's a better coach. Right, we've just got shorter resources or whatever, and we're trying to build something, and I think we still are very close, mate. Like that game wasn't. That game, they didn't batter us yesterday. Like if we'd have gone for them, I'm telling you, if we'd have gone for them like we did for Newcastle, we would have won that game.
Yeah,
agree. Man City are not the team that they were. They're
not at all. And that midfield is definitely not.
Yeah, it feels like we missed an opportunity yesterday, mate. And I'm a bit gutted because I think it's now out of our hands. We could still potentially finish top 5, but I think it's a massive ask because I think we need to win our remaining 4 games. And hope that other teams drop points, and that's what we'll hope for. And I'm sure that's what Emery will try and do. But
go on.
I think for me, he got it wrong yesterday, and I think
I think there is an element of that. I think it's also interesting whether he would have done that if we weren't in the semi-final of the FA Cup as well. Because obviously, he really wants us to win that. I actually think that's his priority. If I'm honest,
we have to win it now, mate. We have to win it,
especially now. But speaking,
what's the chances we get fucking City in the fucking final? Like, come on, Forest, please. please, Forest. I can't.
Yeah, just do it, please, Forest.
I really kind of sat on the fence with Man City until yesterday, but having those comments from that knobhead on right, and then being at that ground yesterday,
there was a few of them that came in, and also all the amount of dislikes that we had on that video. I was like, you're obviously all City fans.
Yeah. Right.
Like, why are you bothering?
I just a soulless club that means nothing. I'm gutted that we had a chance to kind of humble them. Do you know what I mean? And we didn't. And now we've got a mountain to climb. But I'm hoping that those 115 charges come thing and they end up in League 2, mate. And I'll see Haaland down at Leicester Leagues.
We're not going to talk about it for long, but it'll be a fine, won't it? It'll be a slap on the wrist. They basically own everyone, so I can't see it happening. But speaking on about the top 5, and we've spoke quite a lot before about this season possibly being a massively historic season for Villa, or quite easily being a season of very close almosts. And so I've been on one of these Premier League predictor website things.
Oh, mate, this is not what I want to see. I don't think I'm emotionally ready for this. This is a mistake.
Now, let me just run you through the results that I've done. So, obviously, the ones that matter are Newcastle, Chelsea, Forest, City. Newcastle, Forest, Chelsea, Forest, City. So, I've gone for a Chelsea. This is probably one of the dubious ones. So, I've gone for a Chelsea 1-1 with Everton. I just feel like Everton, at the moment, they have this thing of like making it really, really, really difficult for teams to beat them. Now, even with this, even if Chelsea were to win their game, it wouldn't make a difference. So even if I change this to worst case, right, and I put that as a 2-1. So I'll change the calculation. This is where we're at. Now, Newcastle to beat Ipswich. I think that's very, very likely. Forest to draw with Brentford. This is quite a key result. I think at the moment, Forest really are hitting a bit of a snag. Like they actually got battered quite heavily by Spurs. Like they didn't.
And they did by Man United, mate. But they're doing what we did last season, where they're grinding out the results, which is what.
Well,
that matters.
I think they are. But what's weird is that they're playing I would actually say maybe I would actually say to you that the teams that they're beating are the teams who are. They just don't have anything up front. They just don't have any ruthlessness. So Man U and Spurs, they just couldn't take that. They couldn't take the chances because they're just toothless up front. They don't have anything. So whereas I think I think they'll concede against Brentford, and I do think Brentford have got something to fight for. They're fighting for Europe, so they are. And they do have players who can hurt you. So I was kind of looking at that, going, I think this is one where they might slip up. So that's potential banana skin there.
And is this what are you basing our results on here, or what have we got to do? Because we've got 4 tough games as well. Well, 2 tough games with Fulham and Bournemouth.
So I haven't actually got us to win every game. So you'll see in a sec how this works out. So I have got us to beat Fulham. I think like basically, exactly. At home, we got to win our home games, and we have to win that game. If we don't win that game, we know it's gone. And I think a lot of that also depends on how we perform against Palace in the cup. I think we're going to take momentum into that game. We've got Chelsea to draw with Liverpool. Potentially, it all depends. I think part of it depends on whether Liverpool have potentially won the league by then.
Yes.
They beat Spurs, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see on that one. Newcastle to beat Brighton. And Forest to draw away at Palace.
Okay.
So again, these are results where I'm looking at going, I really like. If I was a betting man, that's what I would put in my ACCA. And so
the thing is, Newcastle could easily lose against Brighton as well.
They could. But I'm trying to go not like worst case, but I'm trying to go like realistic, like what I probably think will happen. I've then got us to draw with Bournemouth, so not to beat them. And I've got
it's a tough game, that is, mate.
Yeah, it's a really tough game. Yeah, and obviously they did. They're
gunning for Europe too. They're gunning for Europe, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And they've
got something to play for.
They are falling away a bit from Brentford. The live league table is different to this, but they are. I think Brentford are because they beat them, didn't they, the other
day?
Newcastle to beat Chelsea. Forest to beat Leicester. Here they're all winning, and we've actually drew. So this is us losing ground on them. Us to beat Spurs. This is such a banana skin. You just have no idea with this. I've actually got Chelsea to beat Man U. I've got Forest to draw with West Ham. This is again probably a little bit of a dubious one, a difficult one. City to beat Bournemouth. And then the final game week, I've got us to do it and beat Man U. Like that game is just Jesus. Forest to draw with Chelsea. So it's a lot of it is Forest drawing. It's a lot. I think Forest is the one that we've got to look out for, because I think City are gone. Newcastle have got Everton final day, and I'm just like, I think they've got it. And if I calculate it now,
we just miss out, don't we?
Yeah. So we do. You're right. We need to win all our games. We need
to win all our games, mate. It's got to be the target.
We beat Bournemouth. It looks rosy. It looks like that.
Yeah.
But look, it is. Like you said, it's out of our hands, and it is, mate. It's very easy for this season to now just feel like a failure,
mate. I've no doubt there will be some twists and turns between. It's not going to go like that. Like we win all our games, and like I think there will be a couple of twists. So I'm not saying it's not impossible and we can't do it, because it's still very much on the cards. However, like I say, it feels now after Saturday, if we don't win that semi-final, that the season just
going to peter out.
And it's such a shame, because I feel like we've been so close. And then the questions start coming in, what about next season and signings and keeping players and all that? Because actually all we're really competing for is a Conference League place potentially, and
no, it'll be Europa.
Will it?
Europa. It'd be Europa. We're looking at 6th.
If we finish 6th, but I mean, I don't know. I just think if we lose the semi-final, I think psychologically,
I'd back us to get 6th.
Yeah.
Personally, like I think we can afford to draw a couple of games.
Well, mate, I think the biggest disappointment for me about yesterday is that they should have taken confidence from that Newcastle game and gone to City and gone, we can beat them. We just have a go at them. I'd rather have lost 3 or 4-0 trying to have a go at them, because that's how you beat City. You know, we didn't in the first half particularly. We didn't press as well as we could have done. Right, and in the second half it got worse. And I just thought against Newcastle we were on them, like and then from goal kicks we were going 1v1 and supporting Watkins, and we just didn't do it. And if I'm honest, when Watkins came on yesterday, like he didn't look interested, mate. Like I think dropping him was a mistake. I put in I'm not his biggest fan in terms of clinical, but
no, but I think I've said about Watkins, he's just a massive confidence player. And then he's had that performance against Newcastle. Arguably, couldn't have played better. Like, all he had to do was have 2 little slices of luck, or like a couple of minutes. He's got a hat trick. And then, are you saying that even if he got a hat trick, he wouldn't have played?
I know, maybe I'm old school, and people will argue this point and say they did in the comments of the last show saying, Emery needs to rotate to keep it fresh, and I understand that, but he could have done that on Saturday for the FA Cup semi-final.
The thing that gets me is earlier in the season we were playing Watkins up top and we were playing Rashford out on the left with Asensio in the middle, and it was Asensio and Rashford were just linking up so well, and Watkins was creating the space for them and all that kind of stuff. He hasn't done it since. He doesn't play Rashford out. He doesn't put Watkins up top with him, and Rashford and Asensio don't play together anymore. They come off at the same time. So I'm like, what's going on there? Why is that?
Yeah, mate, it's a valid point, and I'm not being. I love it. I love Unai. I think he's the man for the job, 100%. But
we're allowed to be critical. Like we're allowed to be critical. Always have games where he got it wrong, right? And he got it wrong for me. Yeah.
And he got it wrong. So the question is now, after that massive blow yesterday, and it will be a massive blow, can he pick him up again to really ultimately win the next 6 games?
It's the way it happened, isn't it? It's the way.
It's the way it happened. Soul destroying, mate.
Dejected. Emery looked distraught because I think he knew that point was so important. They probably predicted. They probably looked at the table and gone, "What do we need?" And they've gone.
We need a point, and because with a point, we probably could, like you say, we probably wouldn't have had to win every game. Like you probably would have targeted on beat Fulham at home, get a draw at best against Bournemouth away, so we can drop points there. But arguably, you could say we could beat Spurs and Man United because they are both crap, right? And so now it's out of our hands, unfortunately, because even if we win all of our games, we've still got to rely on other teams, and that could happen because.
Yeah, I mean, we've said right, like, and it's always this case of like we could win against Fulham and Forest and Newcastle or Chelsea lose, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's back on. And there will be that. that shit will happen. The worst.
And my mood will be lifted, mate. I'll have had more sleep, and I'll be like, yes, come on, the Villa.
The worst thing that can happen is basically that we don't beat Fulham and they all win, and then it's like, right, okay, no, we know what we're doing now. But yeah, you never know. You do never know, and we'll just have to see how those games unfold.
Gotta stay. I'm a believer, mate.
But I think what it does, it's so key for like what's going to happen in the summer, and I can't call it around like some of our players potentially leaving, some of our players like the kind of players we get in, that kind of thing. I can see if we don't get Champions League, I am like 99% sure we will have to sell Ramsey to do anything.
Yeah.
Because for PSR, just because he's pure profit. And and like I said, I think we will sell Watkins because he's been with us for so long that it almost becomes amortization.
If Ramsey goes, mate, I'll be devastated because
I know.
He'll be a bigger miss than Dougie. Like one of our, like he's such a quality player. I thought he was quite good yesterday. I thought he was very good again, and again he subs him early. He's done this. He did this against PSG in the first leg, and I remember saying he was doing all right, and he took him off. Yeah. I don't know whether he's protecting him. I don't know whether he's because I think the other thing we have to question, and I've questioned this in the weeks gone by, like why won't he take Rodgers off? Like Rodgers was ineffective yesterday.
Yeah,
and he got booked, right? And and he took Ramsey off instead of Rodgers. I was like, even what you said, right? Keep Rashford on, bring Watkins on, take Rodgers off, put Rashford out on the left, play Watkins up top with Ramsey in behind him. Like it would have worked. I don't like it. Oh, don't get frustrated. It's fine. It's just a game. Like it's just like the fucking.
It's just a game.
Why
It
do
is.
I care so much, mate? You know why I care so much? Why I got up here because I fucking travelled my ass all the way to Manchester yesterday, right? And I was with the high hopes that we was going to have a magical week, and now I've had like 2 hours sleep. Well, look how old I look, man. Fuck me,
mate. You're going and you're tripping down to London on the weekend as well. So
and I'm going to Wembley on Saturday. Like the things you do for the love of this club, man. Like fuck me.
Yeah, I mean, after next week will be very telling when it will be that will be not the decider, but that will decide that will be our season.
Mate, I feel now like I'm almost with the league. I'm almost like okay, because I've said before, the Champions League for me would always be the priority because of the financial situation. How it enables us to grow and buy better players, but I think.
But there's sometimes you also sometimes have to take one step back to go 2 steps forward.
Yes,
you need to go.
So maybe winning the FA Cup and getting to the Europa League. Maybe next season we could win the Europa League and get into the Champions League that way.
Exactly. Maybe that is a thing, and by that point, hopefully, we haven't lost the core of our team.
Well, and you would say if we won a cup, then that's progress, isn't it? Because we've won no silverware for 40 years.
Exactly.
So,
you would, and there is massive attraction and accolade to winning the FA Cup worldwide. Yeah. So players will go, they've won something, they're on the up. Yeah. Oh, Villa, oh God, they're in Champions League. There is, and like I said, players will look at Emery and go, if I go there, he's gonna turn me into this absolute monster.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just whether we've got the funds, and like I said, I think it will be a case of we'll need to make some judgment calls on some players to potentially bring in others to potentially improve the squad or potentially improve some of the depth.
Well,
and like
I hope the JJ thing doesn't happen, mate. I do. I don't want JJ.
I can just see it because he doesn't play doesn't always play every week. He has been susceptible to injury. He is complete profit. We can get a decent price.
No. When you say it like that, it makes sense. I just don't want him to go. I think from a personal
no, of course, no, because then it's like, well, we don't have any
young,
we don't have any homegrown players in the team. He's the only one who is our man. We don't have
one of our own. He's one of our own. Jacob Ramsey, and he smells delicious. I've met him twice at Acorns. Mate, I don't know, just. What a hero.
I wonder if anyone's watched to the end of this, and we'll get a comment on if he smells delicious. Laughing, mate.
Well, yeah. So if you have watched into this and you have been following me on TikTok, I've been going live. So, mate, I've had to say this at the beginning. I got banned on TikTok live yesterday, right? Because, so don't worry, it's only for 24 hours. But basically,
did you drop the C-bomb?
No, I didn't drop the C-bomb, but I went live in the car on the way home. I was just driving and I got Ava to hold the phone and read the questions out to me, and I was just responding. And we did it for a good 20, 25 minutes to half an hour.
And they said you're not allowed to do it while driving.
Dangerous activities, banned for 24 hours.
Oh my God.
So I'm rebelling, mate. It doesn't go with their guidelines. So
incredible. Were there many people watching?
Yes, mate. I've got to say, right, if anyone is from the TikTok audience that have watched, like I went live before the game, and there was over 225 people joined it, and we were chatting, and then on the way home, I think we got up to like 1.5k viewers or something like that. It was people were interacting, man. It was quality. So I was gutted that we got booted because I said to a few people, right, I've got an hour and 45-minute journey home, which turned out to be nearly 4 fucking hours, right? And I wanted some company to keep me awake, and then there was people like, "Yeah, we'll stay on live and chat to you." And
mate, you're not having much luck with these away trips, are you?
No, mate. Last one, my car blew up.
Yeah, was that Palace as well? So then we lose 4-1.
No, that was Brighton. That was at least we won that one. But the Palace game we lost fucking 4-1. And I think traffic was horrendous coming back from Palace as well. We ended up getting back really late.
Yeah, the driving thing with away games is not a great idea.
No, but mate, I'm telling you, I'm glad I drove yesterday because if it had been on one of the coaches that had to get out of the car, get out of the car park at Man City, and then get through the same traffic that I got through, mate. Good luck on that one.
Train all the way, mate. Train all the way. Anyway, right.
£70 in fuel, mate. £70 in fuel or 450 quid on a train. What kind of millionaire paradise are you living in?
Yeah, did you say 450 quid?
Yeah.
What? You could
mate,
you could fly to France and then fly back to Manchester.
Mate, I mean, this is a different podcast, but the rail industry is fucked in this country.
Yeah, don't I know it anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's probably it. Thank you, everyone, if you've managed to make it this half hour. As always, like, subscribe. Please do put stuff in the comments. How do you feel about the performance? Any Man City fans, fuck off. Don't put anything in the comments. Leave me alone. I try really hard.
I've had 2 lack of sleep. If any Man City fans come on this, I'll fucking open a can of whoop-ass. I don't care about fucking being nice.
We try really hard not to be baited into these discussions.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Gary generally fails and ends up jumping straight
because
on.
I'm passionate about my team.
I know, but we can't jump into those convos. But anyway,
I'm doing my best. I'm trying to be better. I'm having a growth mindset. So growth mindset. We're going to get better. But
as always, like, subscribe. We will be back on probably tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon for the preview to Palace at the weekend. Huge game, like every game is. Yeah, Wembley. Gary's going. Unfortunately, I can't make it, but hopefully, if we make it to the final, I'll be going. Although Gary, you're not sure if you'll be able to make that one. So, yeah. Anyway, less said about that. Less said about that, the better.
We'll talk about it on the next one.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you everyone for watching. Gary, are you up for singing?
Of course, mate. Like, you know what? Because Unai Emery loves this team. No, I'm sure he does. Every week we follow the boys in claret and blue.
Cheers, everyone.
The hearts. Ooh.